guys, Pinkstar here. So, there's a song playing in the background. So, I'm going to be rereading Chapter 5, Doctor in Action, Part 1. Because the last one, it was just in the half of it. I forgot to edit it. So, yeah. Move this. Time skip to the next night. Also, Dr. Mark's point of view. As I gave one more glance in 049's room, I saw that the temperature was lowering. The windows became all fuzzy, and the floors almost looked frozen. I was heading towards the director's office. He controlled the chambers, and I was pretty mad at him for doing so much damage to SCP-049-3, aka you. I knocked on the door and went in. The director was sitting in his chair, and he was facing me. He said in his low voice, "What do you want, Doctor?" I want to know what the hell just happened in there when those guards came in. You almost killed the D-class personnel. I also want to know why are you lowering the temperature in 049's chamber. The D-class personnel in there is sick, and she could die. I understand your concern, Dr. Mark, but this is just for testing. Testing? So, getting your personnel killed is testing? I said angrily. The director looked at me, a smile creeping on his face. I understand your concern, Doctor, but this is, as I said, for testing. We need to see how 049 will react to certain things, you know? The anger started building even more. I don't know why I cared so much about those two. Probably because they remind me when I had a girlfriend at this factory that she was killed for testing with, on quotes, purpose. So, beating her and making her sick is for testing? The director stood up and put his hands on the desk in front of him. But of course, Doctor, we need to see how both 049 and 049-3 will react. After all, they do seem to develop some sort of feelings, or so I understand from your report. And that's one of the reasons you shouldn't get 049-3 killed. If she dies, then 049 might manifest in weird ways, and that we might not be able to survive. Risks must be taken, but you are dismissed. And if you try to tell 049 and 049-3 about this, you will no longer have to bother to come to work. Understood? The way he pronounced those words, you will no longer have to bother to come to work, sent me shivers down my spine and made me think that he didn't meant that I was going to be fired. I gulped and said, Understood, sir." I got out of the room. What am I supposed to do? I can't tell them, but I can at least give them hints and clues. They are smart enough to find out by themselves. I hope, I said to myself as I was making my way to my office. Making my way downtown, walking fast, changing slack. Too weird. I'm trying to make this funny, but it's not. Your point of view. You woke up, cold embrace you and went into your bones, making you shiver from head to toes. You looked around and saw strings of frost starting to cover the coffee table and the floor. Your blankets became ice cold, and you made the mistake of getting out of bed. As you made your way to 049, your socks will get stuck in the frost that was covering the floor. You made your way to 049 and shook him. He was fast asleep. You touched his mask, and it was like made out of iron. Office note. It was very cold. You shaked him once again, and he waked up. You mean, and he woke up? He looked at you, and then his eyes went wide when he saw the room had a strange bluish cold mist. While Elf and I was looking across the room, inspecting every corner, you infiltrated yourself in his bed. Under the covers, you snuggled up close to O'Fernine and grabbed on his chest. He didn't seem to notice you, so you made yourself comfortable. You rested your hand on his hand, and you soon fell asleep in the warmth that he was providing. I can't read. I'm a little sick. O'Fernine's point of view. I looked across the pot. O'Fernine voice, sort of. I looked across the room. I didn't even notice your name. Getting in bed and snuggled up close to me and already fallen asleep. Your hair color. Strands of hair were getting in her face, so I swept them away carefully not to wake her up. Ugh. I touched her cheeks with my fingers. They were cold and red. Her hair looked fluffy, so I stuck my hand in it. It was such a nice feeling. I stroked her hair gently, and I kissed her on the forehead before I fell asleep, holding her close to me, make sure she was warm. Time skip until the next day. I woke up and felt something on my chest, grasping my plague doctor suit tightly. I looked down and saw the cutest thing I ever seen in ages. I bet you know what this is. Well, actually not. Your name was sleeping soundly on my chest, snoring and sometimes mumbling something. I put my hand around her and held her close. She opened her eyes and looked up at me. Her lips were a purple color, and so was her nose. I opened my eyes wide and got both of us up. I grasped her hands, and her fingers were all frozen up. Then I touched her fingers. She seemed to flinch a bit. I put both of her hands into mine and blowed hot air at them, trying to warm her up. No use. Her lips almost looked dead. This was getting too far, and this had to stop. I spotted the headset. The bat. The bat. Wow. I spotted the headset that she had and heated it up in my hands. I talked into it. Turn off the heat, please. Turn off the heat, please. Turn off the heat, please. Your name is getting frostbitten. Frostbitten? That's a adorable little reference. Hopefully somebody heard me. I pulled your name into a tight hug. Hopefully this will keep her warm. Dr. Mark's point of view. No more O'Fernine voice. Once I got into my office, I fell asleep almost instantly. I was after a few minutes woken up by the sounds of O'Fernine's voice. It had a hint of panic when I heard the Class D personnel name. I rushed to the temperature modifier and turned it to a higher temperature. What is this damned director thinking? I thought as I was getting into my office, I hacks back to them. I turned up the temperature. The room should be getting warmer. Until then, I will provide you with some blankets. I went to my closet and took some blankets. I entered O'Fernine's chamber. My body instantly went frozen up to the bone. I continued and found your name and O'Fernine hugging each other like there was no tomorrow. I smiled at them, but my smile soon faded when I saw your name, all purplish like. Me and O'Fernine quickly wrapped her up in blankets. I hope she'll be alright. Me too. I looked at 049 and I exactly saw a bit of sadness in his eyes. He was actually developing feelings for her. I had to do something. They reminded me so much when I had a girlfriend. I don't want their story to end like mine did. Love you too! Sorry, that was my dad. Where are you going? Wait, hold on. Make sure she's warm. I said in sort of a demand. Oh, hold on. I'll be right back. Yeah? Harlem. Okay. Okay. I already read that. Where are you going? I looked back. I had to chat with the director. When I was about to exit, your name grasped my coat from the back and I turned once more around. Her grasp was getting lighter. The room was indeed getting warmer, but your name was still weak. Her body was limp and she talked. But if you say something, he will kill you. Jeez, this is getting sad. Her voice was faded and raspy. I approached her. Don't worry about me. Alright? Your name started to cry, but she nodded. I wiped away her tears. My own eyes started getting wet. Hey, no crying. There's no reason for you to cry. I gave a small laugh. She looked at me. Her eyes were begging me not to do anything foolish, but I had to do something. Here's a little something to remember me, in case something happens. Close your eyes. Your name closed her eyes tightly. A few tears went down her face. I kissed her forehead and whispered, May you be smiled upon. I got up. 049, take care of her. She's the best you can get around this cold, damned faculty. And besides, she's one of a kind. 049 nodded and I went away into a hurry. This time, it's time to kick some asses and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of bubblegum. If you get that reference, comment down below. So, okay, author's note. So, Dr. Mark's badass side is showing. Also, before you ask, no, this is not a Dr. Mark's reader thingy. It's still an SCPX reader. Only thing is, I want to make a connection with the other character too. The next chapter will be out soon, I hope. My head is swarming with ideas. I also got a thingy from a follower to help him / her on one of his / her story. So that's exciting too. And as always, I love you. You are awesome. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. P.S. # badass. Dr. Mark is badass. Am I right? Okay, bye everyone.